Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the MLB slate on DraftKings for Monday, June 11th. We have 8 games tonight on the main slate. Before we get started looking at tonight's slate, just make sure you drop a like on the video. I'd definitely appreciate it, and if you have not subscribed yet, if you are new to the channel, be sure you click that subscribe button down below, so that way you won't miss out on any of my new videos. But yeah, we're just going to start off like normal, look at pitcher, then talk about the bats for today. So looking at pitcher on this slate, there are 3 options that are over 10K. Patrick Corbin, Carlos Carrasco, and Madison Bumgarner. Just focusing on these 3 guys, I'm actually going to be paying up for 2 of these 3 options. There's a lot of value that I like at hitters, so it's actually kind of easy to pay up for 2 pitchers if you want to do that today. So we're going to start off with Corbin. I do like Corbin today at home versus the Pirates. I think this is a good matchup for Patrick Corbin. Now, this is a guy that's kind of been up and down. Recently, he was very good to begin the year, but things haven't been the same for him just as of late. If we look back at the game log from the beginning of this year, started off really high with 2 really good games against the Giants and the Padres. Managed to get 11 strikeouts in that game against the Padres, against the Giants, 8 Ks. We've seen Corbin rack up some Ks this year, 10 strikeouts against Cincinnati, 7 against San Fran, 7 against Oakland. Usually gets at least like 6, 7, 8 strikeouts per game. And I think this is a matchup where Corbin can definitely get strikeouts. If we look at this projected lineup for the Pirates, there are some Ks in this lineup, especially when you get down to the bottom. Even guys like Corey Dickerson versus lefties, not a ton of Ks, but still will strike out. Josh Bell is much better from his left side, so obviously going up against a lefty, he'll be batting from the right side. He's not as good on his right side. Mercer will strike out. The pitcher is going to be in the lineup. Diaz will K as well. You got a lefty at the top of the lineup, Austin Meadows. Definitely a good hitter, but still lefty at the top. Corbin really good against lefties. I just really like Patrick Corbin here. I have the salary to pay up for him. There's a lot of cheap bats I like, so going to go with Corbin as my SP1. And then Carrasco is my SP2. Definitely think Carrasco is my favorite pitcher on the slate. So if you don't want to pay up for 2 pitchers, you could definitely take out Corbin and go Carrasco, and then we'll talk about some of the other options. But I do like Corbin and Carrasco here. Carrasco especially just because this is a great matchup, and Carrasco is actually kind of cheap as well. Only $10,700. That seems like too cheap of a price tag for this matchup against the White Sox. This is a White Sox team that we know just so up and down. Sometimes they have good games, but some days they just strike out a ton, just can't hit the ball. There are a ton of strikeouts in this lineup, and I think Carrasco is going to have some run support. He can get a win here, can rack up Ks, and just really have a good outing. Definitely my favorite pitcher on this slate. I do prefer him over Corbin if I have to just choose one. But like I said, there's a lot of cheap bats I like, so I'm going to roll with both guys. Corbin and Carrasco, I think both guys are great plays. Carrasco definitely my favorite, though. Bumgarner, I'm not interested in at 10-4 against the Marlins. Bumgarner didn't look great in his first outing off the DL. Carrasco is very similar in price, and I'd just much rather play Carrasco over Bumgarner. But then if we do want to look at cheaper SP2s that you could go to, I was originally going to go Carrasco and Flaherty as my 2 pitchers, but just looking at all the value that I like a hitter, I went ahead and went Corbin Carrasco. But if you want a little bit more salary to pay up for bats, definitely could go Carrasco at SP1. Then Jack Flaherty here, 8,300 I do like versus the Padres. I think Quintana might have some upside here against the Brewers. If you want to play Quintana at 8,100, I think he could definitely be another SP2 option that you could consider. Then after that, there really isn't a ton I love, like besides Quintana and Flaherty. Those are kind of the 2 cheap SP2s that I was going to consider on this slate. So we'll just talk about bats. We'll go ahead and look at some cheap bats. There's a lot of cheap hitters I like. First off, at second base, BVP play. Not usually a guy that really focuses on BVP plays, but I do like Jonathan Scope here. 3,300. Got good BVP versus Stephen Wright, and Stephen Wright is a knuckleballer. That is something I like to look or focus more BVP on, is knuckleballers, because some guys can hit the knuckleball, some guys can't. Scope has had success against Wright, 5 for 12 with 3 home runs. He's been able to hit Wright's knuckleball well in the past. I think he could definitely keep that up today. He's dirt cheap at 3,300. I believe he homered on Sunday, so maybe starting to heat up a little bit. Good hitters park as well in Camden Yards. Don't mind Scope here if you're looking for some good value. I think he makes sense at 3,300. Does have power versus righties. With that BVP versus the knuckleballer, I think he makes sense as a value play. Then at third base, probably one of the clear value plays on this slate, I feel like, is Matt Carpenter. He's just too cheap today. He's 3,300. He should definitely be like $1,000 more. I'm pretty sure DraftKings messed up the pricing here and was going to make him 4,300, but maybe they clicked the wrong button, and he's 3,300. He should not be 3,300 for this matchup with Jordan Lyles. Carpenter's going to be getting to face a righty, not a very good righty either. It's going to be hot in St. Louis. Looks like it's going to be 90 degrees, going to be humid. Good hitting weather. The Cardinals do have a 5 implied run total for today. So I think Matt Carpenter makes a ton of sense here, especially if you're trying to pay up at pitcher, pay up for both of your pitchers, then you should definitely be on Carpenter. You can play him at second base. If you don't like Scope, you can move Carpenter to second base. Or if you're planning to play Scope at 3,300 at second, then you can play Carpenter at third for 3,300 as well. And then my final play is in the outfield. I really like Andrew McCutchen today. He is 4K versus Wei-Yin Chen. I do like the Giants here versus Wei-Yin Chen. He is not a good pitcher. The dude has struggled this year, especially to righties. And the Giants actually do have some good right-handed bats in their lineup. Andrew McCutchen, definitely my favorite. But you got Gorky Hernandez, who could be leading off today at 3,500. Evan Longoria has shown power against lefties throughout his career, and I believe he does have good BVP versus Chen. 11 for 40 with 2 home runs. So even if you wanted to go to Longoria, you could play him. The ballpark's not great. Wish this game was being played in a different park. Both of these teams have pretty good pitchers' parks. AT&T is a terrible hitter's park. The Marlins Park's not a good hitter's park either. But I still think you can consider these Giants here just because of how bad Chen's been, especially how bad he's been against righties. McCutchen's really starting to heat up lately. He's hit lefties well. He's hit lefties well throughout his career. And I just think he makes a lot of sense today at 4K in this matchup with Wei-Yin Chen. But yeah, guys, these are my 5 plays for today. Going Corbin and Carrasco, that leaves you about 3,300 remaining per player, but we went and found some value with Scope, Carpenter, both at 3,300, and then McCutchen's also a good value at 4K. These are the 5 plays that I do like for tonight's slate. But quickly, going over stacks and BVP plays on this slate. So stacks for me, the teams I'm really focused on. I do really like the Cardinals today versus Jordan Lyles, especially with some of the value you get from this lineup. Guys are really cheap, sub 4K, like Carpenter, Ozuna, Molina, Fowler. This is a really cheap team you can look to target. Definitely go to some of these righties for the Giants, even though it's not a good hitter's park. These guys are dirt cheap as well. If you're trying to play Corbin and Carrasco, you could definitely look to some of the Cardinal or some of the Giants hitters. I think the Indians are probably going to be the most popular stack on the slate versus Giolito because they do have a 5.4 implied run total. But these guys are not cheap. Going to be hard to fit them in if you play Carrasco. So that's kind of why I avoided the Indians, at least going with those 2 expensive pitchers. Now we'll quickly go over BVP plays and then PVB, and we'll get out of here. So BVP, looking at some of the top BVP plays on the slate, there's about 7 or 8 of them, so we'll just go ahead and cover all of them. 2 of these Orioles have hit Stephen Wright well. Adam Jones 4 for 16 with 2 home runs, and then Scope, like I mentioned earlier, is 5 for 12 with 3 home runs. Andrew Benintendi 6 for 21 with the home run versus Dylan Bundy. Brock Holt is 6 for 11 versus Bundy, and Sandy Leon is 4 for 12 with the home run versus Dylan Bundy. Starlin Castro is 14 for 30 versus Madison Bumgarner. Longoria BVP I mentioned earlier. Longoria is 11 for 40 with 2 home runs versus Wei-Yin Chen. And then Tim Anderson is 6 for 18 with the home run versus Carlos Carrasco. Now we'll quickly look at PVB, the pitchers that have done well in their matchups. Wei-Yin Chen has done well in the past versus the Giants, but that's not really going to get me off of the Giants. I still like them here, especially with how cheap they are. The Giants have only hit Chen for a 222 average through 72 ABs. Jose Quintana done well against the Brewers. The Brewers have only hit Quintana for a 201 average through 174 at-bats. They only have 35 hits in those 174 at-bats. And then Junior Guerra has done well against the Cubs. Cubs are only hitting Guerra for a 152 average through 66 ABs. And then the pitchers that have done poorly, Stephen Wright has done poorly against the Orioles in the past. The Orioles have hit Wright for a 282 average. They do have 9 home runs versus Stephen Wright, so they definitely showed power versus him. 13 extra base hits, 9 home runs, 24 hits, and 85 at-bats. Dylan Bundy has struggled against the Red Sox. Red Sox have hit him for a 294 average through 143 at-bats. They have 42 hits, 19 extra base hits, and 6 home runs. And then lastly, Madison Bumgarner has struggled in this matchup with the Marlins. Obviously, this is not the same Marlins team as in the past, but I'm still not playing Bumgarner today. The Marlins have hit Bumgarner for a 333 average in the past, gotten 21 hits through 63 ABs. Do have 1 home run versus Bumgarner. But yeah, guys, that's it for PVB and BVP on this slate, and I think that is it for this video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. Hopefully it helped you. If you did enjoy, just make sure you click that like button before you get out of here. Make sure you do subscribe before you get out of here. And if you have any questions, like always, you can hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT, or feel free to leave a comment down below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, guys. Good luck tonight on this slate. Peace.